Is this about money or is it about something else? How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this viral video of Carmel High School in Indiana that's all over the place right now. I think it started in TikTok, but now it's on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. And it's showing the school with a bunch of amenities. People are saying, hey, that's not fair. Why do they have so much funding? It's because they're rich, they're white, they live in a conservative area. That's why they get so much funding. But the black schools are underfunded. They don't have the resources. That's why they can't compete with a school like that. Now, I'm here to say that that notion about the race and the money is just totally wrong. Totally wrong. And before I tell you why it's wrong, let's go ahead and roll the clip. Of course, this clip will be in the description if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. But let's go ahead and roll it.
Welcome to Carmel High School.
Join us on a tour.
This is the auditorium.
This is the Commons.
This is the catwalk.
This is the planetarium.
This is Senior Hallway. This is our Carmel High School Library.
This is the Oz hallway.
This is the Carmel Cafe and Market.
This is the back of the Carmel Cafe.
So far, I mean, it looks very good. If I was a student at this high school, I'd be very pleased to go here just based upon the amenities. Now, I don't know about the education or culture. We'll get to that in a minute.
And this is our Carmel Cafe where we have Teddy.
And this is the Carmel Varsity Gym.
This is the new addition to the Hall of Fame.
This is the freshman gym. This is the weight room.
This is the wrestling room, baby.
This is the blue and gold gym.
This is the blue and gold track.
This is the field house.
This is the varsity tunnel.
This is part of our wall of success.
This is our natatorium.
This is the hallway of fame.
What is natatorium? Is that where it's like a pool in there? Like, this is a really, really, really nice high school.
This is our 3-story freshman center.
This is CHTV.
This is our live radio.
This is the yearbook room.
This is the auto shop.
Ah, very nice.
This is the wood shop.
Main cafeteria.
This is the bookstore.
This is one of the many cooking rooms in the Carmel.
And this is the Decker room.
Alrighty. So that's that. Now, this video went viral all over TikTok. And there's also a part 2 to that. I'll link to that in the description. If you're on IG, it'll be in the link in the bio. But people have mixed opinions about this. There's mixed reactions. People are saying that it's unfair, that their high school didn't have any air conditioning, no cafeteria at all, no gym, just like a box or whatever it is. They say, oh, well, I lived in an urban area, blah, 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 or a rural area, whether it be black or white. And that's something else. People talking about is because I'm mostly white. What about schools that are also in mostly white areas that don't have any kind of stuff like this? You know, a lot of rural areas, small places with like 20 kids in your graduating class, they may not have all of this either. Because what's the point in having so much stuff like this when you only got like a handful of kids in the whole school? But anyway, I digress. People are saying that there's an issue here. Now, I'm reading some of these comments. One person says, and as I read these comments, do not harass anybody that you may see here, please. Somebody says, ridiculous waste of resources for a bunch of privileged kids. Why does a high school student need a planetarium, a restaurant, or an auditorium? Okay. And then somebody says school funds are tied to property taxes, specifically to make this possible. Rich kids go to rich schools, poor kids go to poor schools. And this is where we kind of have an issue. You see, this high school in Carmel, Indiana, or that particular school district spends less than half of the money that Washington, D.C. public schools spend on their students. Actually, when you look at some of the urban inner city areas, like Baltimore, Maryland, like Washington, D.C., like Detroit, Michigan, they spend a lot of money per pupil. I think, but if you count Baltimore, DC, and Detroit, they're in the top 3 or the top 5 in the entire nation as far as per pupil spending. So why do you have the results? And before I get to that, let's look at the actual numbers here, shall we? DCPS spends $22,000 per pupil per year, has 50% higher teacher staffing ratio, and still 80% of their kids aren't proficient in math. CCS in Indiana spends $10,000, right around $10,000 a year, which is less than half per pupil per year. Builds gorgeous schools like this, filled with nice people doing interesting activities. It has 3.5 times the proficiency. So you got to ask yourself, why? Why did they spend half of the money and have such great results in such beautiful schools? Some are going to say the cost of living. I mean, come on. How much does living in Baltimore, Maryland cost you in the hood, or DC in the hood, Detroit, Michigan? How much does that cost? That's not an excuse. What's happening is that the teachers in a place like Indiana may not get paid an entire, like a big crazy amount of money, but there's more resources given toward the schools and toward things that are going to help with the kids' education, that are going to enrich the kids' lives. And they don't get paid terribly, but they're not getting paid exorbitant amounts. You go to Baltimore, you go to DC, you go to Detroit and other urban inner city areas, they're getting paid crazy amounts of money. And I remember, matter of fact, you might see, you can see me clearly. I remember there was, I keep going back to this story all the time when I talk about these kind of issues. Augusta Fell Savage High School in Baltimore, Maryland, where the boy had a 1.3 GPA and was ranked 60 out of 120. Basically, he was average for his class with a 1.3 GPA. They had an online graduation ceremony, and the valedictorian spoke. Now, the valedictorian was struggling to read. Yet, when they showed the administration, especially I think it was a male, he might have been the principal or somebody, a counselor. This guy had on jewelry, diamonds, cuff links. He probably put up to a school in the big body Benz. My point is that he's making a bunch of money. They're making much money hand over fist. They're eating. They're getting buku dinero, but the kids still can't read. And as a matter of fact, there was a famous story that came out some years ago. This is back in 2014, actually. Mark Zuckerberg gave $100 million to Newark Public Schools, $100 million US. And there was a famous quote that came as a result of that, meaning, okay, what was the outcome of that big expenditure? Did it really help the kids in Newark? Did it help them just succeed academically? Well, here's the headline from Salon. Mark Zuckerberg's Newark schools cash drop. Quote, everybody got paid, but Raheem still can't read. What does that mean? Well, all the contractors and consultants and administration got paid from the $100 million. That's where the money went. But the kids did not improve at all. The kids didn't see any kind of noticeable shift. Why? Well, here's the main reason as I close. When the parents don't really care, the kids don't care, and the teachers can't really do much, and they often don't care. Even if the teachers do care, and I'm not trying to say teachers are just bad. You know, both of my grandparents on my dad's side were teachers. A lot of the teachers that do care in these ghetto areas, they can't really do much, because here's what happens. Let's look at the cultural differences between Carmel, Indiana, and Baltimore, Maryland, as I close for real this time. Carmel, Indiana, you get parents involved, volunteering, moms going to the school all the time. They go into the parent-teacher conference meetings. They're really involved in the school. They volunteer their time. They donate their resources. They do whatever they can to help their kids get a better education. And before their kids go to K through 12 school, they know how to read. They know how to write. They know how to count. But too many kids in these urban areas where the parents don't care at all, they see the child as a welfare check. They see the child as something to be to kind of hate a little bit because they don't like the father. Their kids go to school with nothing. They can't read, they can't write, they can't do anything. So they're 5, 6 years old with zero skills. Meanwhile, kids in a different kind of environment already have skills. They're already a little bit educated. They understand certain things. Rather than relying upon the government to do everything for their children, the parents take a lot of responsibility. That's why you're able to have a school that's beautiful like that, because the parents are involved from an early age. The kids care. the teachers care. It's a whole community that makes sense. But when you go to these urban areas, there's a bunch of money dropped in the whole situation from all over the place, but it didn't go anywhere other than the pockets of the administration and the teachers, not to the kids, not to aiding the parents, because the parents don't care. The parents couldn't care less. They're not checking the kids' report cards. They don't volunteer at all. They don't do anything. They rely upon the state for everything. And as a result of that, you get what you get. And that's why there's a difference between Carmel, Indiana and Baltimore, Maryland. Carmel doing so much better despite getting less than half of the money that a place like Baltimore, Detroit, etc. gets. Very simple. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about this school in Carmel, Indiana doing so well while a place like Baltimore, etc. is doing so poorly? Like, is it a racial thing? Is it a money thing? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. And I'm going to add one more piece here. Someone just going to say, well, these kids in these black areas are doomed. Who cares? Don't give them any kind of money. I reject that notion. I think that the parents just got to tighten up. I think if you got rid of the whole welfare system, or at least dropped it down some kind of way, made some strings attached, you can make some inroads. So I come from the hood schools, and I'm not an anomaly. A lot of people that went to the hood schools just like me do very well in reading and writing and mathematics. But you know, our parents cared. You know, my mom cared, my dad cared, my grandparents cared, my aunts, uncles, everybody, they cared. But when no adults care in the child's life, the child typically has no chance. So if you're going to say these kids are doomed, you can't say that you can't blame it on the school, blame it on the parents. When the parents improve, the kids will improve. I think you can do some things to make the parents do better, make better choices. But if that's not going on, then to discuss this whole money thing between Baltimore and Carmel is a waste of time, waste of energy, because it's not even true. You got to get down to the core of the problem and fix it that way. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.